Some Democrats are firing back, claiming that Republicans in spending cuts have made the problem worse.
Francis Collins, the head of the NIH, said that but for sequestration, we might have been able to find a vaccination against Ebola.
An independent liberal group called the Agenda Project has even released a new ad with the tagline, "Republican cuts kill."
Cut. There are outbreaks happening today that we're not able to recognize, stop, or prevent as effectively as we should be able to.
Yeah, and it's all because of the Republicans' budget cuts and sequestration, which, of course, was the president's idea. And it's been documented by Glenn Kessler. We had him on yesterday in the Washington Post. Joining us now is Tim Graham, executive editor of NewsBusters and director of media analysis at the Media Research Center. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
All right, so that bite that we saw, which was from a story in NewsBusters or on newsbusters.org, it really is amazing how they present these stories, even though this has been debunked. It's absolutely untrue, yet they take the claims made by the people on the left who are running for office, or Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and just present them as, legitimate claims.
That one really stood out yesterday morning. I try to watch CBS in the morning since it does seem to be the more newsy of the three. And just for them to use that ad, which Glenn Kessler, among others, said was a for Pinocchio ad, just a dishonest, terrible, this time of the fall ad, suggesting Republican cuts kill. That was the words they were using. It's just a bald-faced lie of an ad. And they just ran it like, oh, there's this thing on television. And so, yeah, that stuck out for us. The pattern we've seen, really, of the midterms has been ignore, 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 and then a little piece of this.
Yeah, and there's a whole story that from NewsBusters talks about the TV news blackout, all the bad news, or most of the bad news, for Democrats, and also, as something we could get to in a second, bad stories or gaffes by Democrats, huge gaffes that they just gloss over or don't talk about at all. But let's talk about the survey that shows, and the stats that show the broadcast news networks tuning out the midterms when it comes to Democratic news. That's not good.
Well, we've been noticing this for weeks, that every night we have people here who watch the nightly news in real time, and they send us an email saying, no midterms again. And ABC in particular really stands out, that World News Tonight has 0 stories on the midterms. 0. Not a sentence. Although I suppose now that we're outside the study period through October 20th, they did have a story last night about how Obama had a cutesy exchange at the polls. That doesn't really count as a midterm story.
Yeah, but don't touch my girlfriend, right? Yeah.
That was news, when he's having a cute exchange with a voter about her boyfriend saying, don't touch my girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah.
That really defines what the news is these days for a lot of people. It's politics has nothing to do with it. It's, stories about alligators and cats and haunted houses and all kinds of stuff that has nothing to do with government. But, so obviously in 2006, that's what we compared it to. And in 2006, there was really enthusiastic coverage of the midterm elections. Well, what's the difference? Well, obviously, one of the differences is that the Republicans were in serious trouble of losing in 2006. President Bush was highly unpopular, and the Democrats would end up taking both the House and the Senate. And somehow that was a really fascinating story for these networks. And this year, when everything's in the reverse, when the Republicans look like they'll take the Senate, where President Obama's remarkably unpopular, well, we're just not going to discuss the polls. We're not going to discuss the candidates. We're just going to pretend that nothing's going on.
Right. And, of course, Wendy Davis tweeting out saying that I wonder why my opponent will not, Mr. Abbott will not say he's against interracial marriage or some cockamamie thing when he's married to a Hispanic. He is an interracial marriage. They didn't highlight that, of course. And Mo Udall being asked what books he read, and he said, well, I'm drawing a blank. Could we re-record this? Imagine if these were Republican candidates doing this. We have only 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark Udall, getting the Sarah Palin question, what are you reading? He couldn't answer. And yeah, the real funny part, Steve, is that Wendy Davis, of course, was the star of this cycle.
Yep.
And now she's gone?
Yeah, absolutely gone. Tim, we'll keep reading NewsBusters and Media Research. Tim Graham, appreciate you coming on, sir.
Thanks.
All right, folks, we'll be back with more of the show right after this.